Welcome back to the Dubai Autodrome, ladies and gentlemen, where we are getting ready for the third race of the weekend in round 4 of the 2022 Formula Regional Asian Championship. I'm Jake Sanson. Great to be with you once again for the last time this weekend and the last time this season at Dubai Autodrome, as next week, of course, we head over to the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi for the season finale. We are minutes away from the start. It's going to be very close and very fast and frenetic from the get-go. This is the third race of the weekend, and here is the schedule that we have had over the course of the race calendar for 2022. We are on the Grand Prix circuit for the second time this season and at Dubai Autodrome for the third week in a row. We started at Yas Marina. That's where we'll finish next week, where 7 days from now we will know who will be the Formula Regional Asian Champion 2022. At the moment, the favourite to do that is the championship leader Otto Leclerc, who is 30 points ahead of his main championship rival Pepe Marti. And oh my goodness, does he have a great chance to put one hand on the championship trophy today, because in the third race of the weekend, you can see them getting ready on the starting grid, and the mechanics are clearing the grid now. In second on the grid is Arthur Leclerc. His main championship rival, Pepe Marti, is way down in P9. So it looks pretty good for the Monegasque in second on the grid. His teammate, Dino Beganovic, is back in third position on the starting grid, but the man who outqualified both of them is the man in the Abu Dhabi Racing by PREMA car, Paul Aron of Estonia, who will be in pole position. Isaac Ajar, race 1 winner yesterday, is fourth position on the grid. Gabriele Mini, ever fast and ever vigilant, will be there in fifth position on the starting grid. And then in P6 of the starting grid, it is going to be Oliver Bearman, who did such a great job in the race earlier today, his second race in the championship, coming home in third place, only just being pipped to the post by Jack Crawford, who will line up on the fourth row of the grid in eighth place. Beside him in P7 will be Pierre-Louis Chauvet, the man who won more races than any other driver in last year's Formula Regional Asian Championship under the guise of F3 Asia. Then Pepe Marti, ninth position on the grid, and it'll be Michael Belov, who is going to be starting alongside him in 10th on the grid. The race 2 winner earlier today, Patrick Pasma, will be lining up 11th on the starting grid, so it's going to be very tricky for him to repeat the feat. Lorenzo Flucha will be lining up 12th position on the grid, the Spanish talent. Then Francesco Braschi will be 13th on the grid alongside Ido Cohen in the Black Arts racing car, the man from Israel. Then Oliver Goethe will be alongside Delano Van Toff. Hayato Iwasaki will be beside Owen Tanjavelu. Lena Bueller and Hamda Al-Kubaisi will make it an all-female row 10. Nicola Marinangeli and Leventa Revej will be on row 11. And then it will be Sally Aluch, the leading master driver, David Morales. And then Amna and Khaled Al-Kubaisi, daughter and father, and Thomas Luwadi, who rounds out the 27-car grid. So they are left with just one mechanic on the grid to make sure that everything is hunky-dory, and then we will go racing when the 1 minute board goes up. They go around for their formation lap, and we are going to battle away for supremacy. It really will be an exceptional battle once again here, and for all those of you watching along at home or wherever it is that you are watching around the world, you are definitely in time for the third and final encounter, where we could well see the race leader, the championship leader, I should say, Arthur Leclerc, continue to battle up at the sharp end of the dais. It's definitely looking good from his point of view as we prepare ourselves for more combat out on the circuit. Hopefully not too much contact in the combat, but certainly it has been fast, furious and frenetic throughout as the competitors race for supremacy. But can Paul Aron resist the pressure from the two Mumbai Falcons drivers, Arthur Leclerc and Dino Beganovic? And if Oliver Bearman gets anywhere near close to them, he could have a triumvirate as they battle away. But Isaac Ajar and Gabriele Mini will both want their slice of the pie, and they will want to try and get onto the top step of the podium once again. We've had 2 new race winners this weekend, which is worth picking up on, because Isaac Ajar had not yet claimed a race victory, nor had Patrick Pasma over the course of the weekend. 4 teams from 4 different nations have now taken race victories over the course of this Formula Regional Asian Championship season. The British team, High Tech Grand Prix, the Emirati team, 3Y by Race GP, the Indian team, Mumbai Falcons, and the Australian team, Evans GP, have all managed to take victories in this Formula Regional Asian Championship. But there is still going to be some interesting battles. We also had a new rookie winner as well as 2 new race winners this weekend, because we had Isaac Ajar and Patrick Pasma claim their first wins of the season over the course of the 2 previous races to this one. But we also had a new rookie winner, the British driver Oliver Bearman, was able to be the first rookie past the post in race 2. So that means we have had 3 different rookie winners over the course of the season, namely Sebastian Montoya, who is now back in Europe training for his season, Pepe Marti, who has won 7 of the 11 encounters so far in the rookie category, and Oliver Behrman, who took the win in race 2. Green flags, and we are going around for our formation lap. So now we are going to take on the fantastic battles, and we're going to see who is going to be starting where as the drivers go around on their formation lap. So we'll give you the grid in full detail. It is the Estonian driver Paul Aron that will line up on the front row of the grid alongside Monaco's Arthur Leclerc, who is the championship leader with 30 points advantage over his nearest rival, Pepe Marti. Dino Beganovic is third position. Race 1 winner yesterday, Isaac Hajar, is alongside him on the second row. Then Gabriele Mini is beside Oliver Behrman, High-Tech Grand Prix versus Mumbai Falcons. Then Pierre-Louis Chauvet in the Black Arts and Jack Crawford in the Abu Dhabi Racing by PREMA. To round out the top 10, it is Pepe Marti, championship contender, alongside Michael Belov in the Evans GP. Then it's Patrick Pasma, race 2 winner. Lorenzo Flusha is alongside him. On row 7 of the grid, it is Francesco Braschi, who goes beside Ido Cohen of Israel in the Black Arts machine. Then it's Oliver Goethe, the Monegasque, alongside Delano Van Toff of the Netherlands in the Pinnacle Motorsport. Then it's Ayato Iwasaki, his teammate from the Philippines, and Owen Tanjavelu, the Frenchman, for High-Tech. An all-female row 10, Lena Bueller of Switzerland and Hamda Al-Kubaisi of the United Arab Emirates. Then Nicola Marinangeli alongside Levente Revej, the Italian and the Hungarian. On the 12th row of the grid, it is Sally Yaluch and David Morales. Then it is daughter and father, Amna and Khaled Al-Kubaisi for the Abu Dhabi Racing by PREMA squad. And at the back of the field, it is the Swiss ace, Thomas Luedi, for the Black Arts Racing team. So there are your 27 drivers. The formation lap is well and truly underway. You can see that the skies are still a little bit gloomy and murky. And obviously the drivers are going to be trying their best to get the most out of this final race of the weekend. A little bit of litter and debris on the circuit. Hopefully that blows away quite nicely. We've seen in the past several incidents where cars have ended up getting those bits of debris sucked into airboxes and into engine casings, and it causes all sorts of overheating problems. So hopefully that's not going to be the case here today. But the Dubai skyline is going to be greeted by Formula Regional Asian Championship cars one more time this season. We have had one weekend at Yas Marina and the last 3 weeks in a row on the Dubai Autodrome, and what a place it has been to go racing. And we are going to sign off from Dubai one last time with the championship finale taking place next week, of course, on the Yas Marina circuit at Abu Dhabi, where one driver is going to walk away as the Formula Regional Asian Champion. However, who is it going to be? At the moment, it is a 2-horse race, and it is likely to remain a 2-horse race, provided that it finishes fairly similar to this. Because, of course, in the final race weekend of the season, there will be 75 points available in the championship fight, and with Arthur Leclerc on 153 points compared to Isaac Hajar on 96. He currently has a 57-point advantage over Hajar and a 30-point advantage over Pepe Marti. So, depending on how well this race goes for Arthur Leclerc, and potentially doesn't for Isaac Hajar, this could be the race where it becomes a 2-man battle for the title next week in Yas Marina. So for Isaac Hajar, starting from his position on the grid in P4, he is fighting to keep his championship hopes alive here. For Pepe Marti, he's just trying to take as many points off Arthur Leclerc as possible. He cannot lose the championship this weekend, but he cannot win it either, nor can Arthur Leclerc. There are 100 points still available in this championship. So, for those final 4 races, everybody's going to be at fever pitch. We're going to wait as the green flag flies at the back of the grid. Is Paul Aron going to charge to the first corner first? Let's find out! Great start from the front of the grid from Paul Aron. The Mumbai Falcons are already getting pressure from Isaac Hajar. They're going to go very close to the pit wall, trying to hold him at bay. And is there going to be a charge to turn 1? It's going to be an absolutely frenetic dance down to turn 1. Looks like Leclerc is going to get his run into the lead of the race here beside Paul Aron. Paul Aron's trying to hold him around the outside. And as they go through turn 1, it's going to be absolutely neck and neck as they come through to the first sector. It is a great battle. The Mumbai Falcons are side by side in second and third. Looks like Paul Aron has held his nerve to hold the lead battle. Absolutely phenomenal stuff so far. And it is Paul Aron in the lead. It's up the inside. That's Gabriele Mini trying to take on Isaac Hajar as they go side by side. Isaac Hajar is desperately trying to get past Dino Beganovic. It's as they started for the moment in the top 5. But that was very close indeed for Arthur Leclerc. He almost managed to get into the lead of the race. In fact, one of the Mumbai Falcons running wide there. That's Dino Beganovic as he comes off the hairpin. He's going to be side by side. That's Hajar actually running wide as he gets level with Beganovic. Now he's going to go for third position. This is to keep his hopes alive. Gabriele Mini's trying to get in there as well. Into the hairpin. And Hajar gets the line as he runs through. The rest of the field just trying to stay out of trouble as they connect, and Hajar still hasn't quite made this move on Dino Beganovic. The leading two are clear, Aron and Leclerc, and Hajar's going to get back up the inside of Dino Beganovic. Will he get his moment on the exit of the corner? It's going to be very tight as they run side by side. But Paul Aron is your leader. Arthur Leclerc in second position. Absolutely bonkers for the start of the race here for Paul Aron. He's got a massive lead. He's around the outside. Hajar is going to try and make his bid. Behrman and Mini are going side by side behind them as well. So Beganovic is hanging on. Behrman's up the inside of Gabriele Mini. Can Behrman get into fifth position? As he comes off of turn 15, we will find out. They're still going to be side by side as they run in fantastic formation through the final turn. And no, Behrman has to succumb behind Hajar, but Mini has gone up into fourth position. What a lap from Gabriele Mini. The Italian has now worked his way through past his teammate Isaac Hajar into fourth position. It's every man for themselves amongst the high-techs. This is not good news for Hajar. Mini is going to steal valuable points off his French teammate, and they bang wheels. It is civil war at high-tech between these two. Excellent racecraft, and we are still going to see a very close run thing between these boys as they run through the left and in through the right. Isaac Hajar determined to keep Gabriele Mini at bay. So Mini holds fourth initially, but Hajar manages to get the position back. From Isaac Hajar's point of view, he is absolutely desperate to hold on to at least fourth position. He needs to keep as close to Arthur Leclerc as humanly possible to keep the title fight alive at Yas Marina, because at the end of this race, there will only be 75 championship points available, and he has 57 points back from Arthur Leclerc at this moment. It's going to get very tight on the run to the hairpin. Over the top of the white line, that's one of the 3Y Race GP cars, I think. No, that's the Pinnacle, my apologies, of Pepe Marti. And he squeezes past Oliver Behrman. Great work from the Spanish talent. So Pepe Marti is through into P6. And now Jack Crawford's taking on Oliver Behrman. Hello, I think we've heard this one before. And in through turn 10 they go, in through turn 12. And out down to the run towards 13 and 14. This is going to be tricky for Marty to hold on to. Behrman still looking pretty feisty. But Crawford is there in 8th. Pasma is 9th. Chauvet in 10th position is not far away either. But it looks to me as though Belov may have made his move. And here's the battle behind. Crawford has got Pasma and Chauvet, Pasma and Belov, sorry, all over the back of him. Behrman has managed to get back past Pepe Marti. Great run from Oliver Behrman. So he gets through. Excellent display so far. So Oliver Behrman has managed to get himself back past the Spaniard. So let's see how it's all going to play out as they continue their charge down the straight across the line. This is going to be interesting as the battles continue here. So Pepe Marti has a very strong performance coming his way if he can get back on terms with Oliver Behrman. So, side by side. Oh, Behrman and Marty again as Marty holds it on the inside. Behrman tries to keep the car present around the outside. 2 wheels on the road, 2 wheels off it, and Behrman hangs on. Great racecraft from Oliver Behrman. Now Marty's going to get his run back again on the inside line. Marty will take the place back. Great racing between these two, and Jack Crawford is just watching it unravel as Behrman tries again around the far side. He's going to want a faster exit off the corner. They are so close together. How close did Behrman get to the rear wheels of Pepe Marti's car there? Looks like Isaac Hajar has been given a warning for track limits. So Isaac Hajar is working very hard indeed to make sure that he stays in touch with Dino Beganovic up front. Here is the two. Behrman trying to tuck in round the outside of Marty. Marty is not giving him any room at all. Crawford tries to get closer, but he's not quite able to. And as they come off the turn again, Oliver Behrman trying to get stuck in here. And Crawford's going to make his bid on the inside. Behrman is ready for it. So Oliver Behrman will not let that move go easy. A very tough race battle. And just think that, as James Gregory points out, Leclerc is going to be battling Oliver Bearman in F3 this season. It's going to be a great season for those two, isn't it? The way these two are currently battling away. Now, Pasma trying to come right round the outside of Crawford, and he's placed his car exactly where he needs it to be. Excellent from Pasma. That was terrific. Finding his way back into contention, and now there's not a lot that Crawford can do except just let him go. He's got no choice. Crawford is going to do his best to hold it round the outside, but Pasma already has him nailed. Mind you, he's got good throttle application out of the final corner, so it's already getting pretty busy. But is he going to be able to make good use of it as they come down to turn 1? Round the outside, Crawford is going to be sent by Pasma. And Pasma is not going to concede. That's well defended from the Finn. Meanwhile, Arthur Leclerc, I notice, is actually starting to gain some traction and gain some ground on the race leader, Paul Aranas. Whoa! Bearman nearly washes out there behind Marty, and he's desperately trying to hang on in front of Pasma and Crawford. This is the part of the race that Bearman has absolutely no experience of at all when the tyres start to drop away in the third and final race. So this is new for Oliver Bearman. He's got to try and respond to this as best as possible. He's going to run wide on the exit. That's going to be enough. Pasma's set him up there. So they're going to run wheel to wheel. Pasma's going to have a little bit more speed out of the turn, and they're going to run together on the other part. That looked to me as though Hajar was going wheel to wheel there with Mini. So Hajar and Mini is still battling. Bearman's got pressure from Pasma. Crawford, Chauvet is getting onto the back of Beloff. And now we've got Vantoff in the mix there as well. So they're really starting to queue up as Oliver Bearman is finding out about tyre management and brake management in Formula Regional Asia the hard way. Because this is very tough indeed as they continue to battle. So now we're going to get to see how these battles play out. The Pinnacle teammates are going wheel to wheel now. This is Pierre-Louis Chauvet battling away with, oh no, that's the Black Arts teammates. I do apologise. That's Ido Cohen and Pierre-Louis Chauvet. And Cohen is going to try and get up the inside of Chauvet. Nice move from Ido Cohen. So he is into position. Pierre-Louis Chauvet struggling to hold on to it. And in fact, he's lost another place. That is to, now that has got to be to one of the 3Y technology cars going by. I've got a feeling that's Francesco Braschi having made the move to get back past. So for some reason, Lorenzo Flusha is down at the back of the field. I didn't see what happened to him, but the Spanish star is down at the back as Mini is now in front of Hajar. So Gabriele Mini has got his way back past Isaac Hajar. That is not good news as far as Hajar is concerned, as through into turn 1 goes Beloff, having got past Bearman. So Beloff is now in front of Bearman. And there is Jack Crawford. So fair play to Michael Beloff. He's having a terrific race here. And the Evans GP driver making good use of it as Bearman kicks up the dust over the curbs in Sector 1. So this is not going to be too easy to manage here. He's really got to work on it. So this is going to be very, very carefully managed by the race leaders as Aron and Leclerc are out in front. Then it's Beganovic on his own. Then these two, Mini and Hajar. Then Marty alone. And then Beloff trying to hang on with the drivers around. Look how close Leclerc is to Aron now. So Paul Aron has got himself into the lead of this race, but Arthur Leclerc is right behind him. And all Arthur Leclerc needs to do here is exactly what he is doing. Just sit behind Paul Aron, let him do all the hard work. He doesn't need to make the overtake yet. He's got his teammate Dino Beganovic for company. They can do this as a double act. So Leclerc and Beganovic are going to put pressure on Aron. Do not expect the overtake to come anytime in the next 5 minutes unless Arthur Leclerc feels that he is going to lose too much time sat behind Paul Aron. Because essentially from his point of view, all he has to do is give pressure to Aron. And essentially it's going to be Paul Aron that will make the mistake by being forced into the position he doesn't want to be in. So down to the final turn. And through they come once again. Paul Aron in front of Arthur Leclerc and Dino Beganovic. Then Gabriele Mini in fourth, Isaac Hajar, Pepe Marti, Michael Beloff, Oliver Bearman, Jack Crawford and Patrick Pasma. That is your top 10 as they come through at the end of the lap. But you can see just how much pressure Paul Aron is fighting himself from Arthur Leclerc. Leclerc is going to go for it into turn 1. Arthur Leclerc is going to try and take the lead as he goes through into first position. Has he managed to make it stick on the inside line? Oh my goodness, Paul Aron ran off the road. So Paul Aron had to go off the road, keeping Arthur Leclerc at bay. Now, he's not going to concede the lead. Now, that's problematic because essentially the Mumbai Falcons are going to argue there that Paul Aron gained an advantage by running off the road. He's held the lead. So from that argument, there may be a call to Paul Aron to let Arthur Leclerc go back through because he was far enough alongside in the apex to be challenging for the lead. But if Paul Aron has regained the lead by running off the road, then that is going to be one for the stewards to have a look at. So Paul Aron is now really trying to shake off Arthur Leclerc. Leclerc might just go for it regardless, but he needs to get on with it quickly because his teammate Dino Beganovic is on his tail as well. And he's going to want yet another fabulous battle in front of him. So they continue to battle away. Aron, Leclerc, Beganovic, Mini, Hajar and Marti. So the battles continue on their way as they run together in close proximity, in close formation. So this is absolutely phenomenal from Aron, Leclerc, Beganovic, Mini, Hajar and Marti in the top 6. Then it is Belov from Behrman, Crawford and Pasma. So the battles continue on their way. We are about to finish lap 7 of this race as Paul Aron continues in fine style here, running in good formation. But Leclerc and Beganovic are really starting to hustle him now. Now, this is interesting. The overtake of car 6 to car 4 at turn 2 on lap 2 is under investigation by the stewards. Now, that is Isaac Hajar to get past Gabriele Mini. Now, that is fascinating. So, that could be a bit of an issue because obviously Hajar is now behind Mini, but that could come back to bite Hajar. If he is given a penalty, that is going to be catastrophic in terms of his championship aspirations, especially if Hajar gets a penalty and Leclerc manages to get past Paul Aron, because Leclerc would take 25 points. If Hajar doesn't score in that incident, then Hajar will be out of the championship fight. He will not be able to catch Leclerc. Well, there is Behrman, now down in 9th position, struggling to hang on here, as Pasma is going to try and make his bid to get through. Belov and Crawford have already got through and are long gone. This is tough education for Behrman. He is learning about the difficulties of this car very much under the spotlight. That's what makes motorsport such a tough discipline. It's not like football. It's not like cricket or rugby or tennis when you can do all of this training. In the back, Leclerc is leading. Oh, Aron nearly bangs wheels with him. But Arthur Leclerc has got through at the pinnacle moment, at the bottom end of the back straight. Arthur Leclerc has taken the lead away from Paul Aron, and now Dino Beganovic can line his own move up. Now, this is absolutely critical, because if Leclerc wins this race, he takes the big 25 points lead, and that will increase his advantage big time over Pepe Marti, and that will almost, not quite, but almost put this championship title to bed. So up the hill, through the hairpin, Leclerc has got his lead, and now he just needs to build on that from Paul Aron in 2nd position. Dino Beganovic is right there in 3rd to try and take some points off the Estonian. What a sensational battle this is turning out to be, as Arthur Leclerc comes across the line at the end of lap 7 and leads here at Dubai Autodrome in the 3rd and final race of round 4 of this championship, with 3 races to go at Yas Marina next week to decide the championship, and Arthur Leclerc looking to take a big points advantage. So once again, the investigation of car 6 to car 4's overtake is making his position. Good to point out that Chauvet is making good progress as side by side. That is Pasma going wheel to wheel with Ido Cohen. Where is Behrman? What's happened to Oliver Behrman? He's out of the top 10 all of a sudden. I can't see Behrman anywhere. So Oliver Behrman appears to have gone into the pits. Behrman is in the pits. And I'm sorry to say that that is going to be his race done. Well, that's a late call that's come up on the timing screen, because they've now just announced on the timing screen that car 3 must give back the position to the 28. That's Paul Aron to Arthur Leclerc. But Leclerc has already stolen the lead away from him. So, well, that's a late call for the decision there from the stewards. So that's a difficult one to read, because Leclerc has already got past Paul Aron. You can see it there on your screen. Car 3 must give back the position to car 28. But it's already happened, because Leclerc has already taken his position away from Paul Aron. So a very interesting scenario. So at least we know that the officials were making the right calls. Even if Arthur Leclerc was just a little bit too quick for them, essentially. He managed to get the move done before they could actually impose the decision. So there is the battle a little further back. This is Evans GP Academy drivers going wheel to wheel. This is Leventa Revej going wheel to wheel with Hamda Al-Kubaisi, the talented Emirati lady who was one of the stars of F4 UAE last year. A real tiger behind the wheel. She is a very strong star for the future. And certainly at this stage of her career, she is probably the brightest star from the United Arab Emirates and the best chance that the country has of fielding a Formula One driver in recent years and certainly in future years as well. Arthur Leclerc is now settling into a bit of a rhythm. Oh dear, looks like someone's ploughed off the road at turn 1 and taken out a marker board. So Leclerc, Aron and Beganovic are your top 3, but I'm afraid to say that Oliver Bearman is out of this race by the look of it, or certainly out of the running for the victory. So he has rejoined, I am told, but he is basically now using the rest of this race as an extended test session, which is obviously going to be useful from his point of view because he's going to get to learn what these tyres do in race 3. That could pay dividends for him in Yas Marina. So the Oliver Bearman story isn't done. We've just had to put a pin in it until Yas Marina. But Arthur Leclerc is looking good for 25 points for the 3rd time this year. He has not finished a race lower than 9th this season. He has been in the points every single time. And if he scores 25 points, while Pepe Marti scores 8 for finishing in 6th position, that gives Arthur Leclerc, get this, a 47-point lead in the Drivers' Championship with 75 on the table next week at Yas Marina. It's looking almost done and dusted for the Monegasque. And all he has to do then, essentially, is finish ahead of Pepe Marti in race 1 at Yas Marina, and he will be the Formula Regional Asian Champion. So, Arthur Leclerc is on the road to the title, but he's still got at least 6 days of waiting for that to happen. If it stays like this, he's in very strong position, but there's still 12.5 minutes of this race to go, and a lot can still change. So we're watching the battle between Crawford and Pasma. So Crawford and Pasma having a nice little battle. Or is that Crawford having got past Belov? Surely not. Belov is already... Well, no, that is Belov having fallen back. Belov is battling with Crawford. Or is that Hajar dropping back? That's Hajar dropping back. So Hajar is plummeting like a stone here. This is not good news at all. So I would suspect... Well, is that Hajar coming into the pits? No, that's Hajar dropping back. He's lost the place to Marti. He's lost the place to Belov. So big problems here as Dino Beganovic is falling into the clutches of Gabriele Mini now. So Mini, oh, he's slowing dramatically, slowing very dramatically. Gabriele Mini's losing places now big time. Gabriele Mini storms past. Dino Beganovic definitely has a problem. He was 1.4 seconds ahead of Mini. Something's not right. Something's not right with Beganovic's car there. He is desperately trying to keep the car. He's just dropping like a stone from Gabriele Mini. All is not well at car number 10. Beganovic definitely looks like he's got some kind of problem. He's pulling over. You can see that. Oh, that is disastrous. Poor Dino Beganovic. He pulls aside. Marti goes through. Belov goes through. Wow. Poor Dino Beganovic. That was looking like a good run to second place. And he had just set the fastest lap of the race as well. So for Dino Beganovic, it is game over. He is just plummeting down the timing sheets. And I'm afraid he is not going to get the podium. So whatever it is, but Dino Beganovic is going to tour into the pits. Looks to me like he's ended up getting he's got a big problem. So now it is going to be a very long trip back to the pits on this lap, returning for Dino Beganovic as through now goes Jack Crawford. He passes. And Pasma is going to do the same thing very quickly. What will Dino Beganovic do here? Will he stay out or will he come into the pits? He is coming, well, he's pulling over by the look of it and letting both Red Bull drivers go because Hajar is now on the same bit of racetrack as Crawford. That is baffling. So Beganovic is still going. He's not coming into the pits, but he's definitely got a problem as Beganovic falls all the way to 8th. And he is not going to be able to finish in the points with his current pace. His last lap, Dino Beganovic's last lap was 7 seconds slower than that of Jack Crawford's in front of him. So Arthur Leclerc, there he is, leading the race. And with one hand on the title at this moment in time, although Pepe Marti has now moved up to 4th position out of all of that, because Hajar has fallen back, and so too has Beganovic. So as a result of that, Pepe Marti is now going to score 12 points from this race. So the gap between him and Arthur Leclerc is going to increase from 30 points to 43 points. Makes it a little bit harder for Arthur Leclerc, but not by much, if all honesty is put on the table. Meanwhile, Mini is falling into the clutches now of Marti and Belov. But big drama for Hajar, big drama for Beganovic. Both drivers are dropping a long way back. I wonder if their tyres have just fallen off the cliff, essentially. And now they're going to have little to no grip left. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this race plays out. But Arthur Leclerc really has been the master of tyre management and brake management over the course of this Formula Regional Asian Championship season. He's been the one to watch out for. He's been the conservative cookie all season long. He has never finished a race outside the points. And on lap 12, he is looking so smooth and so commanding here. He's even pushing it. You can still see he's pushing it a little bit. There was a bit of opposite lock as he came off turn 14. So even Arthur Leclerc is finding it tough going as Paul Aron drifts wide. So Arthur Leclerc is going to come over the line here, having had a very solid race so far. And it's looking almost sealed as he comes past the pits. With 8.5 minutes remaining, Arthur Leclerc leads from Paul Aron. Gabriele Mini is still third, albeit only just in front of Pepe Marti and Michael Belov, who are both starting now to make a bit of an impact as they come through. What's happened to Isaac Hajar? I think he has pulled back a little bit further. Yes, he has. So Hajar has lost ground here. Beganovic has now lost the place to Pasma, and he's lost another place to Cohen. Poor Dino Beganovic. This is painful for the Swede. We know what he's capable of. Last week, he was absolutely rampant to the victory. So a big problem for Dino Beganovic. Something is not quite right with Mumbai Falcons number 10. And that is very disappointing indeed. So let's see if he is going to continue. So we will suspect what we may about this one, but unfortunately we won't find out what the issue with Dino Beganovic's car is until long after the race. So you'll have to keep in touch with the social media pages to figure out what the story is. So if you're not following the Mumbai Falcons Instagram page, I strongly suggest you do. It has brilliant updates through the course of the weekend as to what's going on. And that's Flusha, I think, making his bid to get through. Oh, no, sorry, that is Francesco Braschi. So Francesco Braschi now makes his bid on Dino Beganovic. So he gets through as well. Must be so soul-destroying for Dino Beganovic knowing I won here last week on this very same circuit, in this very same car. And this week, something is not quite right. Whether he's got an engine misfire or something is not quite right with the balance of the car, whatever it might be, has plummeted him out of the points. So this is a very tricky situation. Now, Raj Mehta has a very sensible question. Do the drivers have radio like in F2 and F1? They don't, as far as I'm aware. So they actually, well, there might be a radio system in there, but I certainly don't have a handle on that at this moment in time. So we have 6 minutes and 20 still on the clock, as they now continue to battle away in the closing stages of this one. I've certainly never seen the team managers radio to the drivers as they have come through, but then I've been in the commentary box, so I've never actually asked that question. Some single-seater championships do, I know that for a fact, others don't. I would have almost assumed they do. They certainly have the pitboard signals, so we'll have to double-check on that one, but I certainly haven't heard anybody talking on any pit radio. It's certainly not made available to us, unfortunately. So Arthur Leclerc is still your race leader. Paul Aron and Gabriele Mini from Marti, Belov, Crawford, Hajar, Pasma, Cohen and Francesco Braschi. So the battles continue on their way, and still the drivers are giving us plenty of entertainment as Oliver Goethe is now running behind Pierre-Louis Chauvet. Delano Van Toff has really struggled in this race, actually. He's in 13th position. I tell you one driver that has made good progress in this race, and that is the Swiss lady, Lena Buehler. She is up into 15th position now, having got past Beganovic. She's ahead of Flusha, and she is working her way through the field quite well here, actually. So well done to Lena Buehler. Haven't seen her since her IAME X30 Euro Series days, when she was one of the star drivers in the senior category a few seasons ago, racing in the IAME Euro Series. But yeah, very good to see Lena Buehler working very hard here in the 3Y technology by Race GP car. That has been vacated recently, of course, by Hadrian David. So Arthur Leclerc has got just under 5 minutes to go. I would say that there is about 4 laps remaining of this circuit. Maybe even only 3 by the time they've come through, depending on when they cross the line. But Arthur Leclerc is keeping the Mumbai Falcons very happy out in front. I actually got to speak to Moyd over breakfast this morning. I have been corrected. They do have radios. I've just never heard any radio transmissions between the drivers in Formula Regional Asian. So I apologise for sounding a little bit dim there. But no, I did speak to Moyd Tungakar this morning from the Mumbai Falcons. He said, I can't quite figure out why Arthur Leclerc is holding back. This is why. He wanted to save his car for race 3. He knew he could win this one. So he just wanted to bank some points, just get himself into a comfortable position and then let loose in race 3. This is what Arthur Leclerc is so good at. He's done this a couple of times this season already. He doesn't save his best until he knows he can have a victory on his table. And he has won 3 times nearly. I nearly jinxed it there, didn't I? Nearly 3 times at the Dubai Autodrome. He came close at Abu Dhabi, 2 third places and a 5th. But he has won twice on the Dubai Autodrome, once on the international circuit and once on the Grand Prix circuit. Last week in race 3 and the week before that in race 2 on the international circuit. So he's nearly there to get his 3rd victory. So the battles continue. As Forkrust rightly points out, Leclerc plays the long game. So they will continue as the battles progress over the course of racing. And I can tell you that Dino Beganovic has finally brought the car into the pits and he is still there. So Dino Beganovic is out of the race by the look of it. Whatever mechanical malady it was, it's cost him dearly. And by the look of things in the championship fight, it's also going to cost him 5th place in the driver's standings at this point, because I do believe that both Gabriele Mini and Jack Crawford are going to overtake his points tally. When it was looking pretty miserable for those two at certain points of the weekend, now it looks like both men are going to challenge to move their way forward. But with Hajar down in 7th place, he's only going to score 6 points here compared to Arthur Leclerc's 25. That means the gap between Arthur Leclerc and Isaac Hajar is going to be massive at the end of this race. I think, well, coming into it, they were 57 points apart. Then if it stays like this, they're going to end up being a further 19 points apart. So that is actually going to put the title out of reach for Isaac Hajar, I'm afraid. In fact, he's dropped even further back. He's dropped even further back by the look of it. Isaac Hajar has fallen to 8th position now. And I hate to say it for fans of Isaac Hajar, but I'm afraid that this is going to put him out of championship contention. If Arthur Leclerc wins this race and Hajar loses even 1 more place, then mathematically Isaac Hajar cannot become the Formula Regional Asian champion. It would then be a straight 2-man battle at Yas Marina between Arthur Leclerc and the 2nd place man in the championship, Pepe Marti. What a dramatic turn of events. From the joy of yesterday for Isaac Hajar, it's now going to turn to frustration because he's only destined to take home 4 points. And that means that the gap between him and Arthur Leclerc is going to go up from 57 points to 78 points, with 75 available next time out. So I'm afraid that is definitely going to be very, very painful reading for Isaac Hajar when he gets out of the car in 8th place if Arthur Leclerc has come through for the win. And certainly for the young Monegasque, who is going to be spending the rest of his 2022 campaign after next week building an FIA Formula 3 championship bid. This is going to be exactly the way he wanted to do it. Out of the final turn, and he goes into the final lap now. 1 lap to go for Arthur Leclerc. It may be miserable and frustrating and painful for both Oliver Bearman and Dino Beganovic in this race as they both drop out of contention. But for this man, Arthur Leclerc, he has had champion written all over him since the first round of the season. We said right back at Yas Marina in January that this championship was going to be won with consistency and determination. And this is exactly what Arthur Leclerc has been able to provide all season long. He is doing a terrific job here, and he is giving us exactly what the young Monegasque wanted to show us. This is a man who is ready to step into the vanguard of single-seater racing on the international circuit. He's been plying his trade in the last couple of seasons by moving his way up the ranks. And now here in Formula Regional Asia, he is definitely in position to join his brother in the Grand Prix weekend with amazing validity. He has earned his right to be here. You can say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You can say it must be something in the blood in Monaco or the water of Monaco. But this is Arthur Leclerc not doing this because of his surname, not doing this because of his background. He is the talent. He is the sportsman that can get this done. And Paul Aron and Gabriele Mini are going to join him on the podium, absolutely speechless as to how he has just driven away from them. It's a massive gap. But this is what Arthur Leclerc is good at. He manages the tyres and brakes to perfection. He knows every inch of this car. Now he knows every inch of this racetrack. And he is the master strategist. Like Alain Prost, the professor before him, Arthur Leclerc calculates his way through the weekend, scores points when he needs to, but when the win is there, he rolls up his sleeves and grabs it with gusto. Out of the final turn for the third time this season, Arthur Leclerc takes the checkered flag and moves just a few points away from becoming Formula Regional Asian Champion 2022. Paul Aron in second position. Gabriele Mini is going to be third. Or is he? Oh my goodness! Right to the line. Marty tried to edge past him. But Mini just hangs on to third position by 63 thousandths of a second. That was tight. That was tense. And just to add insult to injury for Isaac Ajar, he drops to 10th position on the final lap, scraping only a point from this third race of the weekend. And I'm afraid to say, for Isaac Ajar fans, his road to the title just ended. 24 points he has lost to Arthur Leclerc in this one race alone. And that means that the gap between himself and Arthur Leclerc has absolutely skyrocketed to 81 points. He is out of contention. What a shame. He really showed his class this weekend, Isaac Ajar. He really, really showed his class. So now there are only two drivers in contention for this championship, and that man is one of them. Arthur Leclerc, who has a huge lead heading to Yas Marina. He needs to completely change his driving style and be someone completely different to lose this now. All he has to do is show up next week and do what he does best. And this is going to be the first International Racing Championship title for a Mumbai Falcons driver. And the team leads the championship in the Teams Championship as well. They could claim both titles in 7 days. A big, big moment for Arthur Leclerc. That win will be the most important of the season so far because of what it means going to Yas Marina. He can chill out. He can lay back. He can relax and just be Arthur Leclerc. And he could take this title almost with his eyes closed. What a performance from Arthur Leclerc this season. He's never looked out of place. He's never looked out of sorts. He's never given anything but his best in every single race. The gap to Pepe Marti is 43 points. He needs to outscore Pepe Marti by 8 points in race 1 next week. He could even win the championship on Saturday. Arthur Leclerc, so in control, so in command. It's tough to be dominant in this championship. It really, really is. But in that race, Arthur Leclerc was in a different postcode. The third win of the season for the Mumbai Falcons star. The team's 6th win of the year. And that one moves him and the team one step closer to the title. And that one really does mean the world to Arthur Leclerc. That's a big, big moment in the young Monegasque season. That's absolutely astonishing. So that is phenomenal. Let's say, for example, Pepe Marti were to win all 3 races next week, which is unlikely in and of itself because nobody's done it all year long. Arthur Leclerc, as pointed out by Karatan, would need to score 33 points across the 3 races to seal the championship. If Pepe Marti won all 3 races, and he could do that just by finishing second twice. So it looks pretty much done and dusted, but We've said this before. Didn't we say this in Formula One back in 2007? We said Lewis Hamilton, he's got this on a plate. All he has to do is what he's going to do. And all of a sudden, Kimi Räikkönen snatched it from him at the very last laps of the very last race of the season. Hamilton then did the same in Formula One a year later as that famous Is That Glock incident played out. And Felipe Massa was champion for a few seconds before Hamilton snatched it away. You can't guarantee these things. You just have to wait for it all to play out. But you have to play the sensible game. You have to do the work. Now that is interesting. That is not Gabriele Mini's car pulling up in third place. That is Pepe Marti. So what has happened to Gabriele Mini? He crossed the line in third position. But that's Pepe Marti pulling up in P3. Now, that's new. Car 4 is under investigation for overtaking and gaining an advantage at turn 2. So that third place may not stand. That's interesting. Arthur Leclerc from Paul Aron. Provisionally, Gabriele Mini is third in front of Pepe Marti. Then it is Michael Belov from Jack Crawford, Patrick Pasma, Ido Cohen, Francesco Braschi, and Isaac Hajar. So that is the top 10 provisionally. Then Pierre-Louis Chauvet, Dilano Van Toff, Nicola Maranelli, Oliver Goethe, Lena Bula, Lorenzo Flusha, Levente Revej, Hamda Al-Kubaisi, David Morales, and Amna Al-Kubaisi in the top 20. And then behind them, there were only 5 other finishers. Khaled Al-Kubaisi was 21st and manages to take the victory in the Masters class once again. Thomas Luedi is 22nd ahead of Ayata Iwasaki, Oliver Behrman, and Owen Tanjavelu. The retirements, Sali Aluch and Dino Beganovic. But it looks to me as though car 4 is under investigation for overtaking and gaining an advantage at turn 2. That is Gabriele Mini. So Pepe Marti has pulled up in third position. Let's look at the highlights and then hopefully we'll be able to close out with a very dramatic turn of events. A brilliant race. Arthur Leclerc was fighting right from the get-go with Paul Aron. And we saw some great duels from the drivers as they hustled their way around the course. Gabriele Mini and Isaac Hajar at civil war at High Tech GP as they battle the way around the course. Phenomenal stuff from the drivers. So this is going to be very interesting to unravel as we look at some of the moments. Then all of a sudden, Oliver Behrman started to lose the car as the tyres started to fall away. There may have been another incident or two. There may have been another problem to describe why Behrman suddenly fell away, but he eventually decided to pit. Arthur Leclerc built an advantage, but it wasn't long before Dino Beganovic started to hit trouble as well. He tried his best to fight it out with the drivers around him, but eventually the writing was on the wall for the Super Swede as well. Only one of the Mumbai Falcons remained at the front end, and Arthur Leclerc, dominant in victory, is now just a few points away from winning the Formula Regional Asian Championship title. Second for Paul Aron, and third for Pepe Marti if Gabriele Mini has picked up a penalty. And all that Arthur Leclerc needs to do next week in Yas Marina in race 1 is outscore Pepe Marti by 8 points, and he will be the champion. What a performance, what a drive, what a 3-week battle it has been for Arthur Leclerc. He has won a race every single weekend here in Dubai. So it's definitely been a very exciting battle all the way through this weekend. And once again, we have had 3 completely different race winners over the course of the weekend. So it's given us plenty to talk about and plenty to shout about as well. All results are provisional, we are told. My timing screen still says that Gabriele Mini came across the line 63 thousandths of a second in front of Pepe Marti, but Marti has been promoted to third. If that is the case, then actually it's going to be a tiny bit harder for Arthur Leclerc because Marti, if he is promoted to third position, will now score 15 points rather than 12. And that means that the gap between Arthur Leclerc and Pepe Marti will go up from 30 points to 40 points. And that means that Arthur Leclerc will need to outscore him by 10 to win the title. So let's say he wins race 1 next week and Marti is third or lower, then that will be enough for Arthur Leclerc to claim the championship on countback, if nothing else. But certainly it looks pretty serene and pretty much done and dusted from the point of view of Arthur Leclerc. He just needs to show up next week, keep himself to himself, get the professional job done, bide his time, and he can claim this title as his own. Even if he doesn't show up next week, it is going to be very tough for Pepe Marti to get a 40-point score next week, because obviously it will be a very, very tough weekend for him. He has yet to win a race overall this year, Pepe Marti. He's come close, and he's been very consistent on the points. Who is that coming to the podium? It is Pepe Marti coming to the podium. Well, that is interesting. So Pepe Marti is given third place over Gabriele Mini. Well, we'll have to get the ins and outs as to why, but it is definitely Pepe Marti coming to the podium. There is Paul Aron, who comes home in second place. But it is Arthur Leclerc that gets the victory for Mumbai Falcons and is just 10 points away from winning the Formula Regional Asian Championship in 2022. What a performance and what a result. So for the third time this season, Arthur Leclerc takes victory at the Dubai Autodrome and in the Formula Regional Asian Championship. His lead in the points tally is now 40 points, and there are 75 available next week at Yas Marina. He is one step away, as are Mumbai Falcons, from winning both the Drivers' and Teams' Championship. Join us in 6 days when the first race of the final round of the championship will play out at Yas Marina, and we will get a little bit more insight as to who will win this title. Can Arthur Leclerc do it, or is Pepe Marti going to reel him in? We will find out.
Keep your eyes out on Mumbai Falcon.
Some interesting stuff coming up. Look forward to racing to the future.